Let's review this set of color pencils. Hello, are you bunny? I'm Nicole, these are my rabbits, and welcome to Sketching with Rabbits. Today we are reviewing the Woomer colored pencil set of 72 colors. As a disclaimer, I did receive this item for free in exchange for my honest and unbiased review, so let's go ahead and hop right into it. On the day that I'm recording this, on Amazon it is currently $44.99. I have noticed that the price does fluctuate because at one point it was closer to $30. On their website, woomerart.com, the regular price is $39.99 but is on sale for $32.99. Since I've been planning and researching this review, the price has kind of been set at $32.99 the whole time. This colored pencil set comes in a metal tin box. There is a paper sheet that wraps around the box, which is actually the included swatch card. I didn't realize this until way later, but it's nice to know that there is a swatch card included and is making use of the packaging so there is less waste. There is also a light fastness code legend at the bottom, which correlates to the codes on the pencils. Inside, there are two plastic trays with notches on the sides to grab, although I didn't do a very good job at this. This set includes 72 pre-sharpened colored pencils with a range of colors. On the end of each pencil, you will find the Woomer logo, light fastness code, number, and color name. Inside the case, they are originally ordered numerically. The end of the pencil is rounded and closed off, and these color pencils were being compared to Prismacolor quite a bit in the reviews, and I can see the similarities, but I did find them a little more similar to the Arteza colored pencils in both appearance and thickness. I ended up swatching this set twice. For the first swatch, I used Canson watercolor paper to test the blendability on textured paper. I tried to use hard to light pressure to try and get a good range on each pencil and see what the colors were able to do. For the second swatch, I used gray construction paper. Originally, I was going to use toned tan paper, but I couldn't find it, and believe me, I did look, so this was the next best thing. I wanted to test how the colors performed on non-white paper, since some of the reviews did mention it and said that it worked pretty well. Today, we are coloring in another Endangered Animal Series art piece featuring the red panda. It is available as a coloring page in the description if you're interested in coloring these two as well. For the pros, I agree with their claim about the colored pencils being easy to sharpen. I found that the pencils felt soft when sharpening and didn't break often, but I did have one pencil lead that did break within the sharpener. However, I did sharpen a lot when I was coloring, and it only happened once. They also say that the pencils are easy to blend and have a very smooth and creamy texture. I personally found the pencils easy to blend and smooth to apply. I used mixed media paper for this drawing, and I would typically start with a very light hand when applying the colors, and then move on to a heavier hand when I wanted to blend, mix, or layer the colors. Even though I don't use color pencils as often, I still found them pretty easy to use and pretty easy to blend. The colors included are pretty vibrant, and depending on how heavy-handed you are, you can get a decent range. However, if you want that smoother texture, you will either probably have to press harder or go over it with the white colored pencil. On some of the reviews, they mentioned that they use an alcohol marker colorless blender to kind of blend the colored pencils, so I wanted to try it out. It actually worked pretty well, and I liked the effect that it gave. On the colored construction paper, the colors did show up, but they were a little muted in my opinion. They're still pretty good for being on colored paper, but there is an underlying tone of whatever colored paper you used. I do feel like that they are most vibrant on white paper. When I was coloring my drawing, I was able to layer colors together to make slightly different shades that were not included in the original set. For example, when I was coloring the wings, I was looking for a peachy orange, which was not necessarily included, but there was a pink and a light orange, so I ended up mixing them together to create a pink orange, peachy orange, at the tip of her wings. I also like that the pencils are numbered and already come in numerical order. This did make it a little easier to track them down and match them with their swatches, especially if they were misplaced on the table, because I am a very messy colorer. If you use the included swatch card, then the swatches are already numbered, but if you did something similar to me where you created your own swatch card, you will probably have to number it so that you know which colors correlate to which pencils. For the cons, something I couldn't test out myself due to time constraints, but was the biggest issue I saw on other reviews, was the light fastness. There are codes on the pencils and the listing that claims to have excellent light fastness, but a few reviews on Amazon show an obvious fading of the color when leaving their pieces out in the sun for only a few days or months. If you're leaving your art piece in a portfolio or sketchbook where it won't be exposed to the sun, it will probably be fine, but I think according to these other reviews and their images, if your drawing is exposed to light for a lot of time, then most likely some of the colors will fade. Another con is that you will probably have to sharpen the pencil quite often for a sharp point. Since the pencils are quite soft, they do dull pretty quickly. I had to use a heavier hand in order to create that smoother look on the paper, which did make the pencil dull faster. It's not to say that you can't use the pencil when they are dull. I did use the duller version of the pencil to get most of the base color down, but when I was trying to get any detail work done, I had to sharpen it in order to get that fine point. When I was coloring, some of the pigment did smear a little on my hand, particularly the red. I wasn't sure if it was the colored pencil dust, but it did come off after I washed my hands. However, something I noticed afterwards was that there was definitely some colored pencil dust around my drawing, and I had to erase it to remove it. It wasn't super noticeable at first, but something to keep in mind because I couldn't keep my paper clean. Now, I wasn't sure if that was user error on my end, since when I was coloring, I was blowing away any of the colored pencil dust that came off of the pencil, or if it's because the colored pencil itself is so soft and dusty, for a lack of a better term. But either way, this is something to keep in mind if you do use colored pencils a lot. And the last con came when I was outlining, which I didn't show in this video, but when I was outlining on top of the colored pencil, it was a lot harder with thinner pens like a 0.05 or 0.3 size. Because of the waxy surface that the pencils leave, the pen I used did not dry quick enough, and I did end up smearing the pen in a few places on my drawings. One place would be her face, unfortunately. However, on a slightly plus side, if you color over the black pen with the colored pencil, it does cover it up a decent amount. Not completely, but it does fade it. In my opinion, I do think this is a great set for beginner artists or kids. I can see myself using this to add onto my marker drawings for detail, which is something that I do like to do at the end of my drawing process to add more depth. If you like to do that too, then I think this is a great set for that. I do think it's a better value when it's on sale and is priced well, but when it's not on sale, it's a little bit on the expensive side for me. Woomer did kindly provide some discount codes for you all, which I will leave in the description if you want 10 to 12% off your order on Amazon or their website. And again, this coloring page is available as part of my endangered animal series on my Etsy for purchase if you're interested. I will leave that in the description as well. I hope you found this review informational and helpful. If you want to see more art product reviews or you want to support my art, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep creating cocktails. I will see you in the next video.